The paper came off like unwrapping an old bruise. I tugged at the twine, and the smell of warm sugar rose first, cinnamon, butter, the soft, honest scent of somebody who still remembers how to make things whole. The cake sat in the brown paper, like a small, quiet apology. The note was folded under the string. My fingers felt it before I read it. Thin, damp at one corner, the ink feathered as if the pen had been held too long. Outside, the yard was a plain of frost. The trees stood patient and black. I did not expect a name. I did not expect Mara. The kitchen light hummed above my head. The radio in the other room was tuned low to nothing. The house carried its own small sounds. The kettle settling, the pipe that banged like an old clock when the heater kicked on. I set the cake on the counter and unfolded the paper with the care of someone opening a letter from a grave. The handwriting was shaky, like a voice that had to force its way out. 6 words, 6 small detonations. He remembers, it's time to speak. Then, beneath them, Mara's name. My mouth tasted of metal. Mara had been a presence the way a shadow is a presence. Always near the edges, familiar, impossible to ignore. We'd shared summers and secrets, and the kind of silence that seals itself around truth. After the accident, the town had folded us away, like a story everyone agreed to stop telling. We made our own peace with it, or we pretended to. I found comfort in the ritual of the yearly cake. Whoever left it did so with steady hands, with a kind of patience that made the past feel less sharp. But the name pushed a fissure across the years. Guilt rose like a tide. I sat down at the table and stared at the note until the ink blurred. I moved automatically, like an old habit threading through muscle memory, to check the porch for footprints. The board still held the dampness of night. The frost left small white edges where shoes had pressed. There were prints. Small, hurried, the kind that suggests someone didn't want you to hear them leave. They tracked away toward the tree line and disappeared where the shadows pooled. I could see in my mind Mara's back as she walked into the woods, her coat pulled tight, the way she used to walk when she was thinking of something she wouldn't say. On the counter, the cake looked ordinary, as if it had never meant anything more than a winter treat. But the pendant of memory was in the note. The words echoed in the room. He remembers. Who was he? The town had its guesses. People liked neat stories. They wanted names and causes and closure wrapped tidy. I had learned to offer small versions of the truth to keep the peace. That afternoon, every familiar surface felt like glass. I tried the phone, but only left a message with Mara's mother, a voice that said little and meant less. The town would wake later and say nothing today. I stood at the window until the light softened, tracing the line where my yard met the dark of the woods, and felt the year fold back on itself like a map. I unfolded the note again, as if a second reading could change the letters. The pen strokes were uneven, like someone who'd written in the cold or with a shaking hand. There was no blame in the message, only a pull, a demand wrapped as concern. It's time to speak. The cake that had been a ritual became an invitation. Memory is a vessel that holds more than fact. It holds weight. My mind returned, unbidden, to the night by the mill road, to the lantern that guttered, to the ice that was less a sheet than a lid over something that wanted to breathe. There had been a choice then, a small failure of courage, and a quieter, kinder lie we told ourselves to survive. Mara and I had chosen different silences the town accepted. As the afternoon light thinned, I noticed another thing, a smear of mud on the inside of the paper, faint and recent, like someone had tucked the note with their gloves on. My throat tightened. Whoever had left the cake had been close enough to the truth to mention it. Whoever had written those 6 words knew more than they let on. I pressed my thumb to the ink and felt the faint ridge of the pen's pressure, a human imprint. The past was not a closed door. It had been propped open. I carried the cake to the windowsill and set it where the light could warm it. Outside, the yard was beginning to blur with dusk. The woods looked like a mouth about to speak. In the kitchen, the house held its breath. I wrapped the note back in the twine, as if binding a wound, and for the first time in years, I found my feet moving toward the boots by the door. There are decisions that arrive like weather. You do not choose them, you only step into them. I laced up, felt leather protest and then settle, and stepped out onto the porch. The footprints had started again. They led to the trees. My hands were not steady. My voice was not loud. I only said, to the trees and the dark between them, "Mara?"